Welcome to Culture on Tap. We are a podcast that is about bridging the cultural gap one conversation at a time. We have myself, Xavier Bright. Sitting across from me, we have Dale Young. And the man behind the camera is Range Armentar. If you haven't, please like and subscribe and share on anywhere you listen to or watch podcasts. And make sure you hit the bell so that you get notifications whenever we have new content that comes out so that you can tap in with us.
That was really strong. It was
Thanks.
strong. It was like put your chest.
I said it with my chest.
Yeah, you did.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, yeah. So we said last week, this will be our last episode.
Yesterday. We said yesterday.
Yesterday we did it. Yesterday we said, I'm here, I promise. We said yesterday this is our last episode. We're taking a break for the month of July. Stay tuned, though. There could be some blooper reels and stuff that come out in July. We'll just have to wait and see. Mainly because we're taking students to camp. Yep. And we're also staying a second week and teaching at camp from the show. People saw the show and want us to kind of talk about some of the things we talked about at camp. So we'll be gone for 2 full weeks. So
thank you for liking and sharing and all of the things.
Yeah, so we can make money.
Just because this is how we got this opportunity.
Yeah.
So
no, which is really
cool.
exciting.
Yeah.
Like, we're excited about it. But we can't go any further without doing fun facts with Range.
We got to do it.
So I don't think you knew this. This one he said to me, and I let it just kind of slide, but I typed it in my notes, and this is how I typed my notes. If you didn't know, that's not how you type the notes. It's a really big phone. Range. So it's another school fun fact for Range. Range not only has not played, but does not know what Foursquare is. Am I correct?
I have zero idea what you just said.
Foursquare?
I do not know what that is. Still.
Like,
You would think that by now we wouldn't be surprised by certain things.
Here's why it really baffles me. Because it's an older game, older generation game. It feels like his town did not come up in the generations. It kind of just stayed. So it feels like Foursquare they'd almost have like a Foursquare like trophy.
Yeah, like it originated in Iowa, Louisiana. You would think.
You don't even like, maybe it's a different name. Maybe y'all call it like Boudin Ball or something. So Foursquare, you take chalk or tape and make 4 equal squares, and then 4 people stand in them, and you have like a kickball. Usually it's a kickball. You can use a basketball, and
or a bigger dodgeball.
Yeah, a bigger dodgeball or something.
Yeah.
And you slap it into the opponent's square, so it can hit once in your square, but you have to hit it into another square before it hits the ground again.
How does it hit the ground in your square if you're standing in the square?
Well, they're pretty
big squares.
They're big squares.
Oh. I guess I was imagining like a square like just barely big enough for you to stand in.
No, they're big.
They're big squares.
Nothing rings a bell?
No.
I
I think I seen youth play a similar game at camp one time.
You're thinking of what's in the cylinder?
The circle thing in the center and the ball.
Has the walls and they slap it
Oh,
over.
Gaga ball?
Gaga ball.
No.
No?
It's the circle net thing. And the
Oh,
ball
that's-
bounces off of it.
Oh, yeah,
What is that?
yeah. I don't know what it's called. It's like a professional
Yes,
sport.
it's on ESPN.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
professional sport.
those jokers can get it,
They
dude.
be getting it.
Like, it's crazy. What is that called?
Cornhole's a professional sport also.
It is.
Didn't know that.
I've
Yep.
seen it on ESPN too. But yeah, I know what that one is. What is it? Well, if you know, put it in the. I know
Comments.
Yeah, I've seen it. I can't remember. It has a little.
I don't have a
It's a circle with
It's
a
a
net.
circle net thing, and you
Bounce it. You
Yeah.
bounce it off the. Yeah.
But no, Foursquare I've never heard of, never seen, never played, never.
We actually played Foursquare at Zephyr
We did.
2019.
Yep.
We played Foursquare. So, I mean,
I
kids
missed that
play it.
trip.
What it
You
like?
didn't miss that trip.
You play. I know you played Rat Rat Cat. We've established that.
Yeah. It's a really good game.
I feel like how funny would it be for Range to be like a camp director and the kids show up. We'll go play Rat
Yeah.
What
I mean-
what else did y'all play? Because this was a future episode, but he never played wall ball either.
No.
Don't even know what that is.
No.
Like when I was a kid, if there was a wall and someone had we play it.
And a tennis
Like,
ball, the
get
wall.
it.
That's all you need.
and you get stuck. Ooh,
Mm-mm.
Wow.
like what did y'all play?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we played dodgeball.
Okay,
He said he pretty sure.
pretty.
Like there's still some
Yeah.
We had
skepticism.
so we actually did not have the only piece of equipment we had, like where our recess area was a tetherball pole.
But it didn't have a tetherball on it.
No.
Nobody's does.
No, it didn't have a ball on it. It was just a pole.
You don't have slides or nothing?
No, we didn't have a single slide.
Even in elementary school?
Nope. We
Jungle
didn't have,
gym?
we didn't have a swing.
A tetherball pole without the ball. So what did y'all do?
I
Played
don't-
Rat Cat.
I mean, we just hung out.
See, this is exactly why, like, they just depraved you of a childhood. You didn't go on a slide or anything like that.
Not at school, no.
That's
The,
ridiculous.
Like
the
how-
park in town had a slide, but it was metal, and if it was summertime,
Oh, that'll kill your legs. So
Hot.
when you're at school, y'all didn't have like a jungle gym where the guys like would claim it as their fort and
not at school, no. Mom had one at her daycare, but not at
y'all school is like the most underfunded school.
I'm sorry.
They didn't have book covers,
I think they've got a playground now.
didn't have
You
parachute.
think they have a playground now?
I don't know, it's been a long time since I've passed in front of that school, which is kind of off the beaten path. You got to
Off the beat. Let's go ahead and stop right there. Let me just be really clear. When you say the name Iowa, it's already off the beaten path.
not really though, because it's literally right on I-10.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but it's not one of those exits where you're like, oh, let's get off in the metropolis of like Houston. Like it's got one sign, Iowa, and then like it has like a couple of choices, like a gas station,
Yeah, well, it's blown up now. I mean,
blown
they've-
up.
they've got-
Define blown
Well, they've got like
up.
two
They got
truck
it.
stops and
Two.
a Sonic, a McDonald's.
McDonald's.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been around.
We got 2 stoplights. You know, they had one.
I
So
actually
when you
think you're
say-
right.
So when you say, when you say off the beaten path, first of all, I'm not 100% sure what that means. Like,
Well, so like there's
beaten path implies
the main road that goes through town.
okay.
You've got to get off of that road to go to the school.
So I don't even know what to do with that.
It's off the beaten path.
It's
I knew
off-
exactly what he was talking about.
I mean, yeah, you did. You grew up in LaPorte. You have no idea what he's talking about.
I knew exactly what he was talking about. You know?
Yeah.
I get
Well,
it.
there you go.
I get
There you
it.
go.
Well, that was a fun
I feel like,
track with the
we
Reigns.
should find a time and video us playing some of these games with the range that you never get to play as a kid.
I
Foursquare,
think that'd be great.
parachute. Like it might change who you are altogether.
I mean, it might.
Wall ball.
Wall
I'm
ball.
playing
Oh, I
wall
will
ball.
hit him in the back of that thigh. Like, let me tell you right now. So here's the problem with wall ball. When you go to grab it, because you have to time it, but when your fingertips tip it and you hear that guy behind it grab it clean. So if you don't catch it, he has no idea what I'm talking about.
No, not a clue.
So wall ball, you throw the ball against the wall, okay? And then the net, like everybody's trying to catch it, and you just keep throwing it. People are catching and throwing it. But if you go to catch it and you miss it, like it touches you, any way it touches you, but you don't catch it, the next guy can grab it, and they can either peg you or peg the wall before you get to touch the wall.
If listeners, if you could see Range's face right now,
So It depends on the kind of. It depends on the guys you're
You're like,
playing.
we ain't playing that.
So it depends on the guys you're playing with. If you're playing with more sensitive guys, you would throw the ball and hit the wall, not the person. If you're trying to be a man, you got to hit the guy. So there's nothing worse than you go to grab it and it flicks your finger and you hear the guy behind you grab it because you're running at full speed and they fixing to either, if they catch you on that thigh or the lower back, it just
What
takes
kind of ball do you play with?
tennis
Ball.
And you ain't far. Like, we're talking the walls, like, behind you, maybe a little further than where we're sitting. And I'm crow hopping. And I'm bringing everything. I'm trying to knock the soul out of your body.
Wow.
Not you. I would take it easy.
I bet you would.
Well, he got to now.
I got to. I throw my whole arm out.
Yeah.
I can't do it no more.
So just don't be the first one.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, because he got one,
So
two
do you
throws in him.
Do you have to like sit out or
Once you're hit, you're out.
Yeah.
you're out? You're done.
Yeah. And if you think that you're going to be that guy that, like, hangs in the back and never touches it, they'll start pushing you to the front. Like, you got to get in it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've ever even seen that played.
YouTube it.
We used to play. Did you ever play cup ball?
Nope.
I don't know what that is.
You play cup ball? Where I grew up, like, at the concession stand, they'd give you, like, paper cups. So we'd get a bunch of them, make a cup ball, and basically play baseball with a cup. Cup ball.
No.
Nope.
Didn't do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
I mean, that
Alright.
does kind of lead into.
Yeah. So, I don't know how.
It don't lead into it. But we're going to talk about student ministry.
Yeah, with us
youth
going, because
camp.
we're fixing to go to camp, which let's disclaimer this first. We're gonna say some things that we don't agree with. Do not walk away from saying that Dylan X don't agree with youth camp. We're taking teenagers to youth camp.
Yeah.
I've been going to youth camp for over 20 years. We're staying the week after to teach at youth camp. So
Yeah.
we firmly believe in youth camp
Yes.
and student ministry
Yes.
and children's ministry.
Correct.
However, this brought up the conversation for us how we feel like all the above should be done different. So I guess my question is for you. Let's start out by saying, how do we feel? Let's start out by, should we start out with how we feel churches are doing it wrong, or should we start out with how the expectations from parents is where it goes wrong? Because here's why I asked that. Are churches having to do what they do because the parents
expectation.
aren't doing what they should be doing?
I mean, we could dive in it any way. We going to hit both of them.
Yeah.
I will say, before we dive into that, let's talk about if there's a certain experience that you remember from youth camp coming up, or with you leading youth camps. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Start out with that, and then we go into, because
Okay.
it's a little bit more lighthearted.
Good, bad, both.
Either or.
I would say probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen happen at youth camp would be, I don't remember the year. I'm horrible with years. I don't know if you were there this year. Either one of y'all could have been there, or both of y'all might not have been there. I know that sounded really weird if you're just listening, but they've both been to camp with me, and they also haven't. But we had went to camp. In fact, the camp we're going to this year, and there's a prayer garden, and some of our students took it upon themselves to start going there during their free time, reading the Bible, like discussing scripture together and spending time in prayer. And it started like the first day, and didn't even tell the adults, like didn't brag about it. We're just doing it.
Yeah.
And by the last day of camp, I would say the camp probably had 600-700 people there. There was probably 300 kids down there. Someone's leading worship, and the camp staff, and even the guy that's leading the camp pastor stuff, is down there, and here's the crazy part. And I'm a really good leader, so please don't. That's gonna fall. You did that. He did that before we went live, just so we're clear. So if it falls, Joey, Xavier did it. I'm a really good leader, but I had no idea that our kids were doing this. I knew they were going to the prayer garden. I honestly, because so you know, the prayer garden overlooks the water. It's really pretty. So I just thought they were going down there just hanging out. And so I had no idea that our students were doing this. So I walk up and I'm like, oh man, they're doing this. And
Yeah.
like the camp pastor that week was a good friend of mine. And he's like, this is crazy because I've been doing camps, leading camps, preaching at camps for more years than I can remember. And I've never seen anything like this. And I would say, at least for our students and some of the other students there, the most powerful part about the week was that. Flip of the coin. This one I know you were at. I have been at a camp where I've had a student rededicate their life to Jesus, give their life to Jesus, and get called to the ministry all of the same week.
Yeah.
But they left for camp not knowing questioning if there was a Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seems like it's a lot of calling. I mean, that line was busy
That happens at least once a year.
every year.
At least.
Every year.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish that would have happened to me.
Yeah. I mean,
Just know exactly what you're supposed to do and come
within
to know
a
Jesus.
4-day span.
Like, whoo,
Yeah. Get that done.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'd say so. An experience that I had at camp that was really, really good. There's quite a few, but I'll go with. We went to a camp one time.
You say we like you?
We
did. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
took a group to camp one time, and we went to a particular breakout, and it was jam packed in there, and
This could go a million different
no,
ways.
it was really, really bad.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It was very, very bad.
You're doing
to
a
the
good job.
point. Yeah, I'm not gonna throw it out there, but it was something that we were looking forward to. We talked about it for weeks. We made it mandatory that all of our students went to this
Yeah.
breakout.
They went with us.
Girls, guys, leaders, everybody went to this breakout.
Would
And
you agree it was so bad that majority, if you went there really needing this, you
Felt
left
defeated.
you left worse
Yeah.
than when you came in.
Oh, for sure.
So it's not just our opinion that it was bad. It's clearly bad.
Yeah.
Like students were coming up to us saying, "This made me feel horrible."
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So right after that, we went. Girls went with them by themselves. Guys went. We went to another room, and we just started diving into
Yeah.
that topic,
Right.
but doing our own thing. And it went really well.
It did. I
think-
remember that. That was
Yeah,
really good.
I think
that was a really
it was.
moment.
I think it was needed, but it also set the tone for the rest of the week
I agree.
because it brought both groups together, girls, guys separately, but also
Right.
it brought us together like camaraderie as a group. So in the midst of it being horribly bad, it turned really good. And heck, I think we missed something.
Yeah, I think we were supposed to go to either rec or a breakout, and we
And we
just
missed it.
kept going.
Yeah,
Like we just said, this is going to be our time.
yeah. So that was really good.
So let me ask this before we pause. Do you think would it have? I don't think the same would have happened if we'd have been younger in our ministry. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
I think if we'd have been younger, we would have been like,
yeah.
"This really stinks," and we'd probably complained about it.
Complained, right?
But we wouldn't have took. At that point, we were like, "We're going to go fix this."
Yeah,
And we're just not going to worry about if they're missing something. Oh, well.
Right.
Like, I think if we'd have been younger, we'd have been like, oh, no, we got to go.
we gotta go. Right.
Like, and so,
And then after that, we would have complained,
right.
about
So,
it. So
I do think that plays into it, too.
yeah, for sure. A bad experience. I don't know if it was the same camp or maybe it was the different camp. I definitely won't say this, the person's name
Name?
or band. But crowd surfing,
yes, that was the same. No,
it was different.
the next year.
It was the next year. Okay,
Yeah, that
so
was bad.
crowd surfing and
That's really bad.
hurt a student.
Yeah, so we're supposed to be in worship, and we agree there's different forms of worship. However, we agree, not everyone maybe. I think the three of us, I'll throw a range in there. We agree the point of worship before a message is to lead people to open their eyes, ears, and heart to hear the word of God.
Yeah.
I do agree that you can do a concert and it's still worship. It felt like there wanted to be a concert before we did the other.
Yeah.
And the lead singer, who was a pretty big guy,
Yeah.
like he wasn't 5'4".
Yeah.
I'd say he's 6 foot, over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Decided to jump right amongst teenagers.
And hurt a girl.
Hurt her, broke a leg.
Yep. It was horrible. Never seen anything like it. I didn't think it was gonna really. Oh, he ain't gonna do that. Oh snap! He did it, and took out. It was like a bowling ball taking out pins.
And the best part was the solution to the problem was go back there to our merch table and just pick out whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Get all the merch that you want.
Well, I need a leg.
Yeah. So that was those were my experiences. Great experience. Horrible experience. It was awkward, and that set the tone.
Yeah.
For that main service and the rest of the day, where everybody's talking about that rather than talking
100%.
about
100%.
the message or anything
Yeah.
that God's doing in them.
Yeah,
So,
that was not good at all.
horrible. Yeah. So, but going back to your questions before,
So let me ask this. So we talked about all the different things, the emotional charge of camp, and I think you could apply the same tone into student ministry on Wednesday night. Not as much probably in children's ministry, but I think it all flows out of the same vein. So one of the breakouts that I'm leading this year. So everybody understands, me and Xavier are doing 2 breakouts together, from our Culture on Tap perspective on diversity and race and stuff like that. And then the last day we're separating, and you're doing one on identity, and I'm doing one on post-camp Christianity, what it looks like to live for Christ. So I've been doing like a ton of studying in that. And I feel like our biggest failure in camp is we're showing up with the wrong mindset. And here's what I mean by that. Camp is not meant to be it's not supposed to be a week of sanctification. I feel like camp is supposed to be a week of experiencing the mountaintop. And what happens is, because most of these students don't have mountaintop moments with Christ, they don't know how to respond to their emotions, to the experience. And the whole point of the week is to fill you up, to send you back down into the valley. But I think that we treat camp like this is what your Christian walk should look like, which is not true. Your Christian walk cannot look like camp.
yeah.
Like, they don't have phones, they don't have TV, they don't have peer pressure, really. Like, it's literally, we feel like they go to 2 worship services a day, 2 breakouts a day, rec time. Like, the day is filled with Jesus. Like, that is not Christian walk.
Right.
Like, that's not a real life day for anyone.
Yeah.
So it's like when we paint this picture of, look how fire you are on for Jesus at camp, that should be who you are every day of your life. Well, not really, because we don't have a band that leads us to worship after we have breakfast and then does it again at night. And we don't have experienced speakers coming in telling us how to work through our sexual issues or our depression or whatever those things. And we don't have prayer time and a prayer garden. We don't have any of that happening during the day.
Yeah.
So it's a mountaintop experience. And I think too often we show them that, and when they go home and they lose some of that, they just feel like they're failures.
Yeah.
Instead
That's
of
good.
going, okay, I got to literally almost, like, I don't want to, please don't hear this wrong. it's kind of like, I picture this almost like when Jesus took the few disciples to the mountain of transfiguration. Like, no, Jesus is not, I'm not saying that Jesus is showing up or Elijah or any of that, but very similar. Like it should be a moment where you're almost like, I don't even know the words to experience this week, so I'm just going to listen to what God has. And then from there, you take what you grab and figure out how to equip it when you go back to battle. And I think too often we become this person that goes, you know, I'm a real negative person, but this week I've been positive all week, so now I'm positive. No, you're not a positive person. You just were in a very positive atmosphere. So maybe we should be talking to you about how to change your atmosphere. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No,
And I
that's
think,
good.
and so this is where the real might be. The reason we treat camp like it's their week of salvation and their week of Christian walk is because we have too young of people leading our youth and they don't know how to lead them. So we allow this camp to be their savior. I would say Jesus is their savior. Camp's their savior. In fact, I know a lot of students will tell you, I don't love Jesus anymore, but man, my memories of camp were great. And, you know, we're going to talk about the church effect after the break, but I think that's a lot of it. I think people love camp because they don't even know what they're getting. They're just out of the bondage of maybe even their parents or being picked on or whatever. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's not the student's fault they come back and fall on their face. It's the leader's fault for not equipping them for what they're really going to do.
Oh, that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
And that was really good. So what's the answer? Obviously the mindset, but what do you do to deter that from happening? What do you do to stop that from happening? And, well, no, just first that.
What's the answer?
Yes.
I think, so for me, I feel like it's the mind. It is the mind. Everything has, so for lack of a better word, so camp started, really took off in the 80s. Send your kids to camp. 90s, they just blew up. Multiple centrifuge, different places like this that like do it really well. Student life, whatever. And your kid goes and gets to hear this amazing band where there's lights and it's geared towards their age to reach them and help them understand the gospel. And I think most of these camps do a phenomenal job of doing that. So these kids come home and look different. And so instead of parents saying, so how do I understand my children? How do I keep this walk going? The plan has been, well, let's just make our church do youth camp every Wednesday night. And so we've tried to implement that into our every week life. But it boils down to this. Our parents are lazy. Just going to call it like it is, and don't share the gospel with their kids. So they want someone else to do it and give them the impact. They want to see a changed kid. They just don't want to have to do it.
And they don't want to have to change themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, and I mean, I think it's the mindset. Like, we treat student ministry and children's ministry like it's your job to teach our kids Jesus, make them a disciple. And the reality, my personal opinion is, if you were and this is where it's hard because we do have kids that show up that don't have Christian homes, come from broken backgrounds. In fact, I would say the majority of our church youth, because they're youth reach boys, need us to be that for them, to step in that gap. But I'm specifically talking to people that they go to, like they as a family and in family totality, they go to church together.
Yeah.
If I am a Christian father, I would be offended if anyone thought I needed you to show my son or daughters Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's not your job at all. So, yeah. I mean,
you're supposed to come alongside me, not do all the work.
Right. And I do understand, like, I can say, when you're a parent, you can say, this is what Jesus believes and this is what you should do, and they think you're dumb, and then this guy that's their youth pastor says the exact same thing, and they hear it. I get that. But I still believe that your kid sees the message through you first.
Yeah.
Like, that's just my
thought.
I don't know, where are you
and
at?
if they're experiencing that in their household,
Absolutely.
it wouldn't be a matter of, I don't want to hear anything you got to say. It's like, okay, so what my youth pastor is saying and what my parents are doing are lining up.
Right.
So I have a picture of the orthodoxy over here whenever I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing on Wednesday nights or Tuesday nights or whenever they have youth ministry. But I'm seeing it walked out and talked about in my household. So it's a hand in glove fit rather than you fix my kid. And I'm not saying this is every household. It's just
It's a lot.
our experiences.
Yeah.
It's you fix my kid. Really, youth camp isn't about their experience. It's about me getting a week off.
Right.
Let's just keep it 100.
Right. Like, how cool would it be if parents were fasting and on their knees
Yeah.
all week, or said, "I want to go with my
Come.
kid"?
Right.
Yeah, we've never told a parent they can't go.
Right. So it's like it's more so that posture in most cases, not all cases. But here's my kid. Get them saved. When they come back and act up, it's your fault.
Right.
It's like what
Right.
they got
Absolutely.
saved at youth camp, and that's another thing. Whenever we close our eyes, bow our head,
Yeah.
raise your hand. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations. We had 575 salvations, and these kids are emotional. Not saying that some of that isn't real,
It can be real.
but it does a disservice to a kid to, all right, you're saved now, everything's good, and now you go back home, but your situation isn't saved.
Right. Right.
Your situation hasn't experienced salvation.
Right.
So now you're walking aimless. Like, heck, I know as a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, whenever I got saved, it was like me in my infant state of mind. It's like, well, isn't my life supposed to be different now?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still struggling with pornography. I'm still struggling with, anger. I'm still struggling with this. I'm still struggling. I don't know who I am.
Oh no, I'm with you. I actually gave my life to Christ at camp, and I remember all week, like, people were coming to me and like, "Oh, your journey's going to change," and I'm like, "Cool." The clock is ticking for we go. I do drugs.
Right.
Like, what do I need to do about that?
Right.
And they're like, "Pray about it." I'm like, "No, you didn't understand me." Like I'm not talking about like when I go to a party, I might smoke a little weed. Like, I sell it, I do it, I love it. Like, I need someone like, and that's the part that I think is so scary is whether it was my leaders or the camp leaders at the time, no one said, "I'll walk alongside you,"
Yeah.
or "I'll find you someone." So like most people do, I came home. We did our Sunday youth camp Sunday where all the kids get up there and talk about how great camp is and how God changed their life. And within 2 weeks, I was doing drugs again,
Yeah.
and I felt like a failure, and I pretty much walked away for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you were talking about as far as mountaintop coming back to reality, messing up because you are going
You're going to mess up.
but feeling like I'm not really saved,
Absolutely.
and just waiting until next year
Yeah.
whenever youth camp comes back around.
Longing for the mountaintop.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. I love youth camp.
Yes.
That's the reason I've been going for over 20 years. I
Yes.
do love youth camp, but the reality is you measure your growth in the valley,
Yeah.
not in the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Nothing grows on the mountaintop.
Yeah.
Like, that is an experience moment to go back down to fight the dangers, like
Yeah.
whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And I think that we do such an injustice to our kids because, well, first of all, the problem is we ask someone else to do it because we don't know how to do it because we aren't disciples either.
Mm-hmm.
We've never been disciples, so how can we ask someone else, or how can we possibly dive into it? Like, the crazy part is, whether it's our children's ministry, every week goes home with papers.
Mhm.
Not saying that you have to do those papers, but like if you're going, I don't even know how to talk to my kid about. There's a paper in front of you going. So, like, tell me about the lesson. Like I've been asking my kids their whole life. So tell me what you learned this week.
Jesus.
And like sometimes you get the same, but I want them to know that I want to know
Yeah.
what you learned about the gospel this week. It matters to me.
Yeah.
And so I think that we do.
But going back, it matters to you.
Right.
And what we do is whatever matters most to us,
Absolutely.
we're going to talk about.
Absolutely.
So if it's my child's grades in school, you better believe I'll be discipling them in that.
Yeah, because we'll ask them,
And you
we'll
better
punish them from church because their grades are bad.
You better believe that if there's an issue, then we're going to talk to the teacher about it. You better believe if our child has any sort of potential in sports,
Drop
you
everybody.
better
any amount of
believe
money.
we're going to get them a new bat. We're going to
Yeah.
get them new shoes.
Yeah.
We're going to get them whatever it takes. We're going to get them those private lessons.
Yeah.
We're going to do whatever it takes to disciple them in that area in which we feel as though matters most.
Absolutely.
So whenever it comes to this and it's like, well, I don't know how to talk to my child about So we can sit over here and talk about sports, we can talk about grades, we can talk about who they're dating. We can talk about all of these things, but we can't talk about Jesus.
You want to know? No, this here, and it just hit me. This is the sad truth. I've been working with students for over 20 years, and in that amount of time, I've had 3 parents ever ask to meet with me to go. Either about I want to understand what you taught Sunday Wednesday because the way my student is regurgitating to me, I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Or tell me what's coming up so I can work with my kids. 3 times.
20 years.
20 years. Now I get tons of parents to meet with me and go, my kid's acting up. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I have them an hour a week.
Yeah.
Like they're not my kid.
Yeah.
And I always tell them they're extremely respectful for me.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And,
Or let's not have our kid come all year.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And
All
when
year.
it's time for youth camp.
When it's time for youth camp, hey, looking for sign-ups.
Oh, yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
And what are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
For 51 weeks,
Exactly.
we haven't had them at all, or maybe once or twice, but this week they're supposed to experience change, or we're supposed to stop bad habits,
Right.
and they're supposed to kind of organically fit into the mold of the chemistry that's been built among the other students who have
Right.
been here
Right.
week in and week out. It's like, how does this make sense? And what it comes off as, it doesn't. Nobody in their right mind would put anybody in a position that they're not ready for.
Right.
But whenever it comes to this situation, it's like, let's plug them in, because what it comes down to is we're lazy.
Right. I mean,
we want that
let's be
break.
honest. Because if you flip the script and said, my kid doesn't play basketball. We bought him a basketball on week 51. So week 52, we're going to send him to an elite basketball camp. No one's doing that. No one.
No.
Because he's not ready or she's
Right.
not ready.
Right.
But we do that with our kids.
Yeah.
Take them to camp and bring them back saved. And I guess for me, it's like, do you think they're even capable of understanding who Jesus is? Like when you dump someone into, like, the best way I know to put it is like, if you've never played basketball and then you go to an elite camp like that, you're overwhelmed to the point where it's like, I just want to survive the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Or I'm going to sit in the corner and just
yeah,
not talk to anybody, not do
Yeah.
anything, because you don't even, like, whenever you're at an elite camp, you don't have to teach fundamentals.
right.
The fundamentals just come
Correct.
naturally.
Yeah. Like, we
It's
don't have
like-
to say dribble the ball.
We don't have to, okay, this is the correct form. This
Right.
is a down screen. This is a screen across. This is what you look for. This is how you slide your feet. You ain't got to do it.
Right.
Do any of that. But if you stick a newbie
Yeah.
in that,
They don't know what any of that means.
it's like they don't know how to dribble the ball without looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah.
You know, and it's just like whenever, first off, for them to actually even build camaraderie or chemistry with the other students who are part of that youth group, not saying that it's impossible, but it's like you don't even know. There may be inside jokes, and nobody's trying to be mean, but it's just like you haven't been
been here.
You haven't been
Well,
here.
and here's the part that I even take it even further. So you get a kid that's like, parent comes, I really want my kid to go, and you say yes. Oh, but they can't take their cell phone? And they want to debate with you about it?
Yeah.
It's like, you're asking me to take your kid.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not wavering.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand. But to me, so the sad truth is, what we have created in this country is we want someone to raise our children to be a disciple, and once they become an adult, then they can come be a part of our church. Because like look at the way we do it. Like, so even in our children's ministry, parents have no desire most of the time, not all parents, to be involved. They just want to drop their kids off like a daycare.
Yep.
And I'm not saying you should work every single Sunday because you need to get fed too. I get that. But you're not involved. You have no idea what's going on. And then you send your kid to youth. So like even for me, for years, I worked at a church where they had chose to do the youth service on Sunday while the adult service is going on at the same time. Even though I'm like, this is not a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
We did it. Had phenomenal youth services. Then we changed the model, and the youth are going to go back into the main service.
Mm-hmm.
After about 6 months, half the youth left. And everybody's like, why are they? Because they're not welcome here.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know. Like, the sad truth is some of these kids have been in this youth for 6-7 years, and they don't even know you because you've never taken the time to know them. But now you want them to worship next to you, and you know, you're sitting in their seat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was 2 churches, and you got rid of their church.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think the problem is we're so consumer about everything. We want our kids to still have everything they want, but we want it that way with Jesus too.
Mm. That's good. That's really good. I mean, we've been banging up youth camp.
Yeah.
We love youth camp.
Yeah. I want to be
Okay.
really clear. We are excited about going.
Yes, we
love youth
love
camp.
youth camp.
We do it different than most.
We do.
We do not allow our students just to do whatever. We don't allow our student. We have a buddy system.
Mm-hmm.
You're never alone. We don't allow our students to find their long lost love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they met them on the basketball court.
Having fun is secondary for us.
Yeah, I could
when it
care
comes
less.
to youth camp.
The last thing I need to hear your kids say at youth camp is, "I had fun." Like,
Yeah.
I hope you do,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not why we go.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have fun, like whenever we are sitting around talking, just building camaraderie. We're not going for the basketball tournament.
No,
We're not going for the
Yeah.
the 5K. We're not going for any of those tournaments.
Pranks
We're not
or any of that. We don't do any of that stuff.
We don't do any of that. Well, we do the tournaments and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like
If
that.
they want to do that, yeah.
But no, we don't do pranks. But that is all secondary in the grand scheme of things. We want you to experience God. We want you to experience really God in community
Right. So
with each other.
Because you say that. So last year, so every year we go, we take bag chairs, and there's these 2 beautiful, I think they're oak trees. They may be magnolias. I'm not sure. Big trees that have lots of shade, and we set our chairs up there every year, and that's where we hang out. And our kids know this is where our adults are, and they come and we hang out and we do that. And last year we had a lady ask us, or a man and a woman, I can't remember where they're from, but he stopped and talked to us. He's like, "We see y'all here. Why do y'all do that?" It's like, but for 2 reasons. One, this is a central spot that our kids know where to find us. 2, I'm not chasing you on the basketball court. I'm not playing Marco Polo with you. My goal is to sit around here. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna cry. We're gonna have community right here. Like, the goal is that you matter enough to me that I want to have a real conversation with you. I don't want to just like, okay, we had community because we shot free throws together.
Right.
I'm not saying you can't have,
Right.
but I'm saying I want to be able to look you in the eyes and say, "Tell me what's going on."
Yeah.
Like, that's the goal. So,
Yeah.
So we do that every year.
Yeah, we love youth camp.
Yeah.
And we are excited about this year. We're excited every year. I think more so this year than
This year,
any
this will be
other,
great.
just because our youth have put in a lot of work as far as emotionally,
Yeah.
with all of the emotional audit questions that we've been going over. So we are excited for them, but for us too to experience God in this manner, with this group of teens, with each other, all of the above. Like, we are excited. So whenever you hear us saying all of these things, it's not from a place of, just looking down or any of that. It is, we have an issue. We see this issue. And if we just kind of had a different mindset of how we do youth camp, maybe students wouldn't leave youth camp and 2 weeks after be looking forward to next week or next year's youth camp, or maybe they wouldn't look at it from a standpoint of, once I graduate high school, I'm done. I have no hope.
Well, and here's the thing and I think me and you both agree with this. A lot of the problems with the youth ministry in general stems from the leadership of churches and the mindset of who leads their students, whether it's a guy that's way too young and has no business doing it, or this mindset of it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
The average youth pastor lasts 18 months, which is a horrible testament.
Yeah.
We wonder why our kids have abandonment issues. We wonder why our kids don't stick out anything, because the reality is most teenagers have, on average, 3 youth pastors in their time. How many did you have?
6.
6. So you had 6.
12 to 18, I had 6.
6 different. So how could you possibly build trust where you're going to open up and say, I'm struggling with pornography? Like that conversation is never going to happen.
Heck,
So
as a grown man, I heard youth pastor, and I'm like,
yeah, we almost weren't friends because you're like, oh, you're a youth pastor, like we ain't gonna rock it.
No.
So there's immediately there's that there's this I don't know what the right way, but a lack of effort and ability put in front of our students for camp. But this would be my statement: whether you're a parent, or maybe you're a youth pastor listening, or a lead pastor, if you were rallying around and hoping that youth camp is the day that little Johnny gives his life to Jesus, and you've had him all year long, you failed him. Period. And I'm not telling you that you have the ability to make him accept Christ. But if all your Wednesday nights is about playing Foursquare, which Rain should have went to church because he never got to play, or whatever game you're playing this week, if Wednesday nights are just fun and your message is 5 minutes and you're not really covering everything, like if you're not giving kids the opportunity to wrestle with salvation, like I've never wanted to look at youth camp like, let's take a ton of lost kids to see them get saved, because really youth camp isn't for lost people.
Yeah.
It's never meant to be for lost people. Now we've turned it into that.
Right.
Youth camp is supposed to be for believers to go experience a mountaintop moment, to be ready to go back into the valley.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And so more than likely, if you're taking 25 students going, maybe, just maybe this week, then you failed them.
Yeah.
Point blank. And I mean, it's just a sad statement. Like literally, I don't know if he talked to you, but I'm going to leave names out of it. A former Youth Reach boy just moved this week and told me, because we've been praying for him, telling him there's going to be some things that are different. Yeah, the leadership you've had between you and me, and it's going to be different. And he texted me, he said, I'm already struggling because we're talking about where we're going to church Sunday. And they said, we found this really cool church that does 45 minutes of worship, and he might preach 10 minutes, but he gets out of there real quick. And I said, which makes me feel good. I'm like, so what are you doing? He's like, I'm going somewhere else. And I was like, good for you. Like, and I'm not saying I love 45 minutes of worship.
Yeah.
But what you just told me is the word means nothing.
Yep.
So
And we are about emotion and feeling and very little depth when it comes to the word.
yeah.
So.
And I will say the camp that we go to, I'm making a plug for Brandon Bells. He does a phenomenal job of trying to take that out.
For sure.
He does a really good job of like dropping down the hype when it's time for worship and really getting people in a place of prayer. Because here's what happens at most camps. There's a night where they do usually salvation. Tons of kids go down. There's another night that's usually called to ministry, and all the kids that got saved all go down and go into ministry. I will say that Brendan does a good job of really trying to get them to see the cost of ministry. And here's the best way to say it. Like, so one year I went to a camp, and again, I've gone to preteen camp, youth camp. I think they're both good for what I think preteen camp's good because it does prepare young kids to be in the environment of camp and to be around believers and how, like, even if, like, to me, the mindset's different for preteen camp. Like, your son's at preteen camp this week. My hope for him, not that I don't want him to experience Jesus, but my hope for him is that he does get some knowledge about Jesus, but he just gets to have a great time with Christian kids and doesn't have to worry about ugliness. Like, that's my hope for him, is to have fun with his mom because she's there.
All he wants to do is swim.
And you know what?
That's all he wants to do.
And I hope that's what he does. Like, to think that third graders are going to go and come back and go, well, let me tell you my orthodoxy and my orthopraxy. Like, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Like, if he comes back and says, Dad, I had fun, had fun with Mom, met some new friends, it's a win.
Yeah.
But, so, camp very similar to that. I went to one time, I wasn't speaking, but they asked me to help oversee people that gave their life to Christ, which they did not know me well enough when they asked that question, because it's like, I will be glad to do that. And it was ages like 3rd to 6th grade. Kids are just, playing.
Yeah.
God's preaching way over their heads.
Yeah.
It's time for the invitation. He's like, raise your hand if you want Jesus. And like 400 kids raise their hand. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So they all go in the back with me. And I've been known to do a lot of things. Gentle is not my strong suit, I would say. So I just looked at all these kids and I said, okay, here's the deal. And there's a couple kids in the front. I said, what's your favorite thing? And one kid said, football, baseball, Nintendo, whatever. And I said, okay, here's my question for you. Whatever your favorite thing in this world is, if Jesus Christ asked you to give it up, will you give it up for him because you gave your life to him today? If you're not willing to do that, go ahead and leave the room. And 4 kids stayed. 4. Now, I think all 4 of those kids genuinely were serious about giving their life to Christ. But that's the alarming part, because the reality is we like to celebrate numbers. And the thing is, it's not their fault for wanting to celebrate numbers, because if the numbers aren't good, we start questioning, are you good at your job?
Yep, exactly.
Like, not did we
So that
feel
goes back to the top.
Like, not did we feel the Holy Spirit in this place?
Yeah.
Do we have kids wanting to come back and experience this again?
Did we plant a seed?
Yeah.
But what we try to do is the way that we've structured it, we tried to plant a seed, water it, and then make it.
And pick it all the same way.
All in the same week.
And let me just say this for people with camp. Stop lying. Like, we go in there, we had 14,000 people get saved last night. There's only 400 people here.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. But we want to see that maturation happen in 4 days.
4 days.
And it's an impossibility.
Like, so here was a beautiful moment last year. Again, we won't use names. We took a kid last year, had no business being there, was kind of involved in our youth. Not the one that really had no business being here, but, but the other one.
Yes.
And here's what I thought. This was a successful week for him. Never have seen anything that I would say of spiritual substance. The last day he looked at me and you and said, I just want a hug.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And he gave us both a hug.
Yep.
And I was like, I would count that as success.
That's a win.
But see, for a camp leadership, you can't count that as a number.
Yeah.
Like, to me, a seed was planted where, if nothing else, he knows these 2 men will give me a hug if I need one. And I think we forget the goal.
Yeah.
Like, to me, if a student goes and says, I think I might want to start reading the Bible. Cool.
Yep.
Like, I think we have to realize what the goal is, but instead, and we feed it. Like, it's like, last night, there's 700 kids at the camp, 500 salvations, 600 rededications. 800 call to ministries, and we
The
cheer.
spirit was moving.
The spirit was, and we cheer it on, and my thing is like, so if the band worshipped from Jesus, and the guy that spoke gave the message that God called him, and no one came down front, are we saying the spirit didn't move? Because if that's the case, then we need to throw away Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Because he was not very good at what he does then.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just feel like we're a results-based thing.
Yep.
I mean, and you understand this, like you run a boys' home, and the reality is there's some boys that make it through the program. There's some boys that don't make it through the program. And there's some boys that make it through the program and fall flat on their face. And I'm sure y'all get tons of calls like, what are y'all doing? And it's like, of course, I'm sure you say, anytime you want to come volunteer.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. If you want to sit in this seat,
yeah. So,
by
yeah,
all means, feel free. Yeah. That was a lot.
that was a lot.
That was a lot.
was a lot.
But it was, I think it was good. I think
Again,
it's
I want to reiterate
necessary.
that we love youth camp because we went in
Yes.
hard. We went,
Yeah.
but, and I'll say this, until you've gone with us, and this is not meant to be a pat on the back for who we are. I think we just, we've seen it. We've been hurt by it. So we've changed the model. And we're seasoned in this area. We take, like, majority of our students are in a boys' home. And I will tell you that our students will be the best, respectful, honoring people at camp because they know that that's the standard. We do not allow disrespect of any sort, or we'll send you home. We've done it. We have drove boys home on the first day of camp.
Absolutely.
3 hours. We ain't scared. So I just think if your kid's going, one, evaluate who he's going with, and what is the goal? Like, what is the plan? And what are you doing to come alongside it?
Yep. No, that's good. I think we end there.
Yeah. Again,
Like we said before, this is the last episode for a little bit, just for the sake of us being busy with youth camp and things of that nature. Taking a little break, but we'll still have content coming out, whether it's blooper reels, whatever the case may be, that you guys can still tap into. But we love you guys, and we will see you guys
Before you do that,
whenever we come back.
I do want to say, if you're listening and you have a student and you have questions, you might not want to put them in the comment, but if you'll put in the comment asking for mine or Xavier's personal emails, we will add that to the comments.
For sure.
And we want to help, whether it's you're questioning the student ministry they're in, you're questioning how to help them in your home,
what camp they're going to,
all
whatever
of
the
it.
case.
Like any of those questions, we'd love to be able to come alongside and help you with that stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been Culture on Tap. Thank you for tapping in with us. We will see you guys later. Culture on Tap is sponsored by Houston Radio Platinum, playing the best classic hits. You can download the Houston Radio Platinum app. It's in your app store, or just ask Alexa to play Houston Radio Platinum.